Hey up everybody, welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling Podcast. Today, talking about the UAE Tour, which might be one of the most boring stage races known to mankind, but quite frankly, we're quite hungry for some racing, so anything's going to do right now. And technically it's the first of all tour race, so you're going to see lots of good riders going here, including one Tadej Pogacar, and a really stacked UAE team which are looking to crush the competition in a similar way to, I don't know, how Ineos would come to the Tour de Yorkshire and just shit on everyone. That kind of dominance, that's what we're looking at here. So, yeah, that's pretty much all there is. Before we start, this will be on YouTube, and we're going to do an individual stage breakdown on YouTube as well, in case you just want to have a little 5-minute segment as to what each stage is going to hold, rather than trying to find your way through a whole 25 minutes. So if that's kind of more your thing, and you just prefer listening to little short segments, and go check out that. Also go follow us on Instagram and Twitter at I'll Do Cycling. That'll be where we put up, especially on Instagram, we're going to do a daily vote of who we think is going to win between us two. Have a little tally, a little bit of, competition.
We might even ask who you think's going to win.
Yeah, we might do, or we might not care.
Oh,
nah, we will do.
Thought it was serious then.
But if we put out, alright, who you think's going to win, you better respond. You better not just leave us in the dark, because otherwise I'll be really upsetting. But yes, go check out our Instagram and Twitter, because that will be a couple little bits of extra content there, rather than just on the podcast and on YouTube. So let's go. UAE Tour. It's basically, you could be forgiven for thinking that some of these stages are exactly the same, because they pretty much are. There is a time trial this year, which is new. That is something that hasn't happened in the UAE Tour. So that'll mix things up for the GC. It won't necessarily mix up who's going to win it, because Ganna's here, so, well, shocker. Wonder who's going to win that. But yeah, there's just so many sprint days. God, do you remember the days when there was like the Dubai Tour, the UAE Tour, the Tour of Oman, and all that crap? And they're all the same, at least they've all been jammed into one race.
Oh, that's what's happened, is it?
Yeah, it used to be all...
They've all combined.
Yeah, they've all combined into one thing. So at least we don't have to suffer through 3 of them. At least we can just get it done. I don't mean to hate on the UAE Tour, but it's just so...
Deserty.
Like, deserts just aren't particularly nice places to look at, because it's the same.
It's definite.
It's just...
warm,
small little bits of coarse and grainy sand just everywhere.
It's coarse, it's rough,
and
it gets everywhere.
And if you get that reference, then you're brilliant. And then, so there's going to be, 1, 2, 3, 4 sprint days, 1 TT, and then 2 hilltop finishes.
I don't know if... Oh, don't matter. Scrap it.
No. Alright, let's just go. Stage 1 goes from Al Tafra Castle to Al Mirtha. There we go. And I can tell you, people, let's see. The highest elevation we're going to get to today is 114 meters.
Whoa.
Hefty. That's some high altitude. I don't know. It's just, there's literally like the finish line is at like a 6-meter gradient, and on the map on Pro Cycling Stats it looks so big. It's 6 meters tall, and there's like a sprint point. It's like, oh, this is a big berg round here. It's 6 meters high. Oh god. This gives us a good opportunity to talk through basically the sprinters that are coming here. So we were talking yesterday, and I guess it kind of helped. Gives a little bit of a warm-up for today. But we were saying about Ackerman, and how we think that people underrate Ackerman. And yeah, because people seem to be under the rather sound belief that Caleb Ewan and Sam Bennett are just the two top dogs, and then everybody else is just a level below them. Maybe some people might whack Damar in there as well, but he's not here, so. But yeah, so there is Caleb Ewan here. There's Sam Bennett. There's Ackerman, Jasper Philipsen,
Says Ball.
Viviani,
Nizzolo,
Mezgec, Moschetti,
Greipel.
God, Jesus, Andrea van Dam, and Gaviria. I'll say that's your lot, probably.
Yes.
Bauhaus, because he won that stage the other day from
Yes.
Tour de la Provence, so you have to kind of include him in there now. But let's face it, I think that the top dogs here, and we narrowed it down yesterday, we think that it is Philipsen. Oh no. Philipsen, Ewan, Bennett, and Ackerman. Are we saying that's the fastest four here?
Yes.
And we pretty much think that those four are probably going to be swapping places for the victories, more than likely across the 4 sprint days, probably. I mean, I was super high on Gaviria, as was a lot of people a couple of years ago. Kind of 2017 in that Giro d'Italia, where he won like 4 stages or something, and the Ciclamina jersey. Like, that was really peak Gaviria, and I'm just not sure what's happened to him. He doesn't have that much of a sprint train here, and by not much, I literally mean he has Riccesi, and that's it. But I don't know, there's just something about Gaviria. He's just a bit not sharp anymore. I'm not sure why. Bit of a shame, really. But I just don't classify him as maybe, like, he's scraping maybe like the bottom of the second tier of sprinters. Like, he's like B, low B, high C. He's like a B minus sprinter for me. I don't know, like just 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have put him as like an A easily.
I just can't see him going up against someone like Ackerman or Ewan,
No.
and I can't see him winning, like beating him.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Ackerman, because we would mention him yesterday. So we just think that he's... Why do we think he's... We thought he was good because he just keeps going. He doesn't quit a sprint. Like, he's quite known for hitting the front too far out and just basically leading people out. But he will just like keep going and just keep fighting. Yeah, he might finish in 5th. But like, you'll just see Caleb Ewan or Sam Bennett just get slightly knocked off their line, and they'll just plonk back down in the saddle, and they'll finish like 10th. And they just give up. Whereas if Ackerman gets knocked, because he's quite a big guy, doesn't affect him that much, and he just keeps going. Just quite a fighter in a sprint, and I quite rate that. Also very underrated climber, but that doesn't really mean much around here because there's no intermediate stages, no Hatter Dam, which is terrible because that's almost an iconic stage. But yeah, Ackerman, unfortunately not that much of a big lead out, and that seems to be a bit of a trend here, is that teams don't really seem to be bringing that big of a lead out and hoping to lean on other lead out trains. Now the issue with that is that everybody seems to have had the same idea, which means that the lead out trains are going to be terrible.
I'm just looking at Cofidis.
Yeah.
I know we didn't really mention Elia Viviani.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that Sabatini's gone across to Cofidis.
Yeah.
To match up with his old mate Viviani.
Yeah.
And then, then you've got Sabatini, Nathan Haas, Consonni, and Viviani.
It's good.
It's good, isn't it?
If it's just like, would you, in all seriousness, do you think that Consonni is probably faster than Viviani?
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like...
But then Consonni's like on par with Gaviria.
Viviani's not going to be leading out Consonni. In the same way that, I think this is a topic of conversation just for a completely different time, but if you're a sprinter and you leave the Koenig for some reason, you drop off a cliff. Gaviria and Viviani being prime examples of that. Cavendish kind of being an example of that when he left
Omega.
Omega back in the day. I don't know. It just seems to be a bit of a thing where if you leave De Koenig, then you are screwed. Something happens to you. I think Alps and Phoenix have honestly got one of the stronger lead outs here. Yes, they've got. I think Philipsen should be sprinting with them. Van der Poel is here for publicity. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know why. But if they're sprinting for Van der Poel, that's just a mistake in my eyes. I feel like they need to be going all in for Philipsen. And they've got Sparagli there, who's also fast. And I don't really know many of the other guys, to be honest with you. But I just know that means that they're probably all in for a sprint. And for Philipsen, their new signing. And I think that gives Philipsen an advantage, but maybe also a disadvantage, because everybody else will be latching on. Gaviria with his one lead-out man. Not like De Koenig don't even have a full lead-out train. Sam Bennett has Shane Archibald and Michael Morkov. Kesa will be on the front, kind of keeping the break in check. But then they've also got a GC ambition with Zhao. So, Catania can kind of do a job on the flat, and then Masnada maybe as the first guy in the lead-out train who peels off after a K or something. But not many full lead-out trains. Who else have we got maybe? Who might be a bit of a surprise? Caleb, not necessarily a surprise. We'll get on to the person who I think could be a surprise in a second. Caleb definitely has a full lead-out train here. Jasper de Boist, Thomas de Gent, Kluger, Tosh van der Sande, and the first person from our Christmas countdown, Harry Sweeney, the winner of the Il Piccolo Lombardia. He came from triathlon, which, people have their own opinions about that, but I think he actually he's done decent time trials in the past. Maybe he could be a bit of a wild one that just pops into the top 10 that people weren't expecting on stage 2. Maybe he tries to do something for GC. I kind of doubt it. I'm not sure if that's not his trajectory in terms of career path as a rider. I think that he's more of a puncher, not necessarily a big old climber. But Caleb's got all of the lead out men there. He's got Kluger to hide behind. I think that works really well for him. Do you know who's not going to work out very well? Case Ball. Because I'm not sure how DSM are going to work this. Because, they've got Alberto Danesi there as well. So Case Ball and Danesi are both sprinters. So how are you?
And Nicholas Arndt.
And Nicholas Arndt, yeah, exactly. You got the other Craig Anderson there. And in my eyes, Case Ball would be the one leading out Danesi. But because of a matter of size, I am not having Alberto Danesi leading out Case Ball. Because if you have seen Danesi, he is small. He is Caleb Ewan size.
It says he's 176. It's 5'10".
He gets super low. When you consider that Case Ball is 1 meter 90 probably, maybe higher than that. It doesn't make sense for him to be behind him. I don't know. That's just a bit of a weird one in my eyes.
I think it's just a sprinters world champs UAE Tour, so every team's just bringing the sprinters that they want, and then whoever ends up going well, I imagine after the first stage is then the guy they're going to go with. That's why there's kind of an array of them.
Yeah, true. I just realised we're kind of getting off topic for this is stage 1, but it's kind of stage 1 in all the other sprint days.
Yeah, I know.
This will probably maybe just be a stage 1 whatever preview. We'll just rattle through some other sprinters. Mezgec, there's also Caden Groves there. How will that work? Who's going to go for which one? I'm fairly certain last year they kind of rotated it, one person one day, one person another day. There's this guy called David Dekker, who rides for Jumbo-Visma, who's the Dutch under-23 champ last year. Quite a lot of hype around him. He's a bit like Christoph, I guess. That kind of classic sprinter. Stefan Bissiger for EF Education Nippo is also fairly fast and can do a good time trial, so I'd be expecting to see him on stages 2 and just all the other sprint days. And then Quebecer Assos, of course, with Nizzolo, they are all in around him. Potsaviva's there, but yeah, they've also got Walscheid, who, if he was leading out Nizzolo, that's a nice big guy to hide behind. And apart from that, I think that's everybody in terms of a sprinter that we've covered.
Oh, wait, Moschetti.
Oh yeah, Moschetti. Who's he got? I mean, he's got Emma Lipens. They've got that Tiberi guy who's like a 19-year-old Italian time trialist. He won the world's junior time trial in Yorkshire, so he's clearly legit. But overall, yeah, Caleb Ewan, Ackerman, Bennett, Philipsen. That's what we're going with. Stage 2. TT day. I mean, Ganna's here.
So Ganna's going to win.
So Ganna's going to win.
What's number 2 looking like?
Yeah.
I mean, you spoke about, to me, you're thinking De Gent could do honestly, a job.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got Mikkel Bjerg.
Mikkel Bjerg was one. Yeah, when I spoke to you the other day, this star list wasn't fully released, so yeah, Bjerg always on there. I'd probably put Pogacar on there.
I mean, yeah.
What about Zhao after his Giro?
Yeah, because he basically did the same time as Bjerg.
Someone who could be a bit of a surprise for Bahrain Victorious, Jonathan Milan. He's the under-23 Italian time trial champion. Could be a bit of a surprise showing from him.
Yeah. What about maybe like Alex Dowsett?
Dowsett?
No, I'm just taking the piss.
Well, I mean, he'll probably finish top 10 alongside Bradley.
Holy bollocks.
Well, he might finish 12.
He might finish 12.
And then like him and Brandley are just...
Jos Van Emden?
Jos Van
Emden. Was
it
too short for him?
Maybe. He is a bit of like a...
It's going to be like...
a longer one.
13k. If it's like... Is it an out and back or is it straight?
Tell you what, I'll get back to you on that in a second.
Because if it's... What I'm thinking is if it's straight...
Yeah.
Then it's going to be like, 16 minutes.
It's not straight at all. I'll turn it around for you. It looks like that.
Holy shit.
It goes, maybe, I mean...
It looks like... What's the Brazilian track? The F1 track? Interlagos. Looks like freaking Interlagos.
I know. I mean, I must admit, I'm quite happy they've got a TT because it really does help to break up a stage race. And it just helps to make it a bit more exciting. And I've always thought, Dubai's got some really big, fantastic looking buildings. You may as well just have a TT just going around that. And, finally they've done it. And it looks really, it does look like, are you going to have to brake from any of these corners? Maybe. I'm not really sure what the scale is on this, but it looks like you might have to brake for some of these, but a lot of it's going to be the first, half of it you're not having to brake for at all. So you're going to be getting, and it swivels all about the place, people, honestly. It's like looking at a snail. It wraps around and goes in and out of itself. It's crazy. Ganna's going to be taking a huge advantage over that first half up to the 6 kilometre mark. And honestly, I just don't see him losing. But yeah, let's talk about, second place. Stefan Bissiger guy. I still think he could do a pretty good job because, yes, he didn't do very good at the first race, the GP Marseillais, but at the Bink Bank Tour last year, that individual time trial, which was 8Ks long, he was third. He beat Mads Pedersen, Van der Poel, Lampart, Laporte, Pollitt. That's a pretty legit performance. That's what I'm thinking. It depends whether he's got the form at the moment, is the only kind of query. Who else could maybe just be a bit of a surprise? To be honest with you, Cam, don't really see anybody else.
Nah. I mean, it's not going to look good if somebody out of this wins. But
yeah, who's finishing second then? Because Ghana's winning.
Well,
Who are you putting as second?
That's a big question.
Because let's face it, because what I'm thinking is that on the on the Instagram, we'll just be saying, "Oh, Ghana," and we'll both just put Ghana.
Oh yeah, to win. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we made it all. Or unless we don't say, and then we just do a vote for second place. We could do that instead.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, we're going to keep it a surprise. You have to go and follow I'll Do Cycling Podcast on Instagram to go and find out who we think is going to finish in second place. What a weird world. Anyway, so that was stage 2, which literally just goes from Hundayarit Island to Hundayarit Island. Stage 3, a bit of a familiar one here. We go from Al An to Jebel Hafit. Been up here before a couple of times. It is literally like a highway.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that one.
I hate this.
This one, which is like 20 meters wide, 2
Windy.
lanes, just winding up a. There's the one which I can't remember who won it. I mean, they went up here twice last year, didn't they? One time, Adam Yates won, and then the second time, Lutsenko celebrated too early and got rolled by Pogacar on the line. Yeah. Speaking of Lutsenko, didn't really perform too brilliantly in the Tour de la Provence. It's going to be difficult for him to bounce back, and there's no way that he's purposefully tapering for a UAE Tour early race, is he? I'm just not sure if he's got the legs at the moment. Who else? I mean, let's face it.
Sorry, have you said Adam Yates?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's past winner, isn't he?
Yeah. Adam Yates, I mean, what do you reckon? Can he win 2 on the bounce?
Yeah.
Maybe. I reckon he's really good at stage races. Like 7 days.
Wout Poels had some good form, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I'd be putting him down as a probably top 5 finisher.
Zhao,
I'm hoping to get a podium.
Attila, Valter, you could do something. This
that guy. Someone has a bane on that guy after, what was it, Piemonte that Bennett won last year? George Bennett. And then, Valter finished 9th or something. You're like, who's this guy?
Yeah, I was
Hungarian.
I'm my Velagains team.
Who else?
Froome. Could Froome just to show up and do something?
I'd be pretty cool. I'd be cool with that.
It's early season, but it's his first race and everything.
Yeah, that's true.
He's had all that vitamin D from the California coast, you know. It'd be golden. It'd be golden brown, whilst everyone else is pale.
I mean, if he can find out his TT legs, if Froome doesn't put in a good result here, it's kind of like maybe not a big deal because he's known to have a different build up to Grand Tours. But still, eyes on him.
Yeah.
First race.
Seppi Kuss.
Sepp Kuss. What I find interesting about Sepp Kuss here is that people will say, "Oh, but he's not good at time trialing." But the thing is, we've never seen Sepp Kuss have to go full gas on a time trial. Whenever you see him at a Grand Tour, he's a domestique. He's just being told to cruise around. He's probably just been told, "Oh, try hold this watt just to keep yourself ticking over because the day after's fairly hard." We've never had to see Sepp Kuss actually go hard in a time trial for a GC position. So this could be one of the first times that we actually see that.
Yep.
So I'd say don't write Sepp Kuss off because we don't know. We don't know what he's actually going to do. So yeah, Sepp Kuss, pretty cool. Again, Chris Harper off of the kind of Australian champs and stuff. He should have some good form.
I think Gregor Mulberger.
Gregor Mulberg, yeah, because Valverde's effed.
Yeah, he's won 5-1, but he's basically in an old people's home right now.
Yeah, I rate Mulberger. I think a lot of people do after his kind of domestique days. I was looking for a bit more of a selfish performance, possibly. A top 10 certainly possible. We haven't really seen him do. I know we haven't seen him do a time trial, but it was in the Sibiu Tour, which is in Romania, and it was uphill. So you can't really take much from that.
Potentially Mark Donovan as I don't think he's not going to win or anything, but he's had some good back end of the last season. He had some good climbing performances, and if he can take some of that into this early season, could he get overall could he creep into the top 10? I think so.
I reckon he could. That kind of.
If things go right.
Positions. Yeah.
Certainly. I think that's fair.
EF Education Nippo have got Iran, Higuita and Nielsen Paulus and Ruben Guerrero. Strong squad, but again,
whoever's going best.
Yeah.
They'll know within that team who's going best.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a strong looking squad, but it's a matter of they don't really have. I don't see somebody on that team winning. Super strong, but hard to win. Bora, Buchmann, Conrad. Conrad looked decent in the Tour de la Provence. I think he got a top 5, something like that. Buchmann, first race back. How's he going? Difficult to say. Surprisingly good against the clock as well. And then who else we got? Bahrain, we said about Pools, but they've also got Damiano Caruso and Jack Haig. Again, who was going well in Provence. So, Bahrain have got options there. I could see them definitely getting maybe 2 guys in the top 10. AG2R, nah, not really. And then let's just talk about the guys who are probably going to be absolutely smashing this, which is UAE. Because I was saying to Cam that UAE coming here is literally their... other people are coming here as a bit of a form builder. UAE are fully going to target this race. Considering that they are literally called UAE Team Emirates, they have a massive pressure to turn up to this race with big form and win it to please the sponsors. If they don't win, that is not going to go down well.
Is Mark Hershey still coming?
Mark Hershey is coming, yeah.
I thought you said that maybe he wasn't.
It said that he wasn't, but I think he is coming to this because...
Bloody make their minds up.
I know, right? But they've got Pogacar, Formolo, Hershey, Micah. The thing is, what I feel like with Hershey here is that this is a form builder. He's going to be targeting that opening weekend at Omloop, more than likely. Which means that he is more than likely going to be that first guy on the Jebel Hafid pulling a bit of a monster turn. I don't see him being an overall GC contender. I don't think that's his goal at the moment. And they're all around Pogacar. Considering that he won the Tour last year, UAE are just this is our poster boy. He needs to be... They've probably told the trainers, and management have told the trainers, Pogacar needs to be in Tour de France form for the UAE Tour. And he needs to win by 2 minutes. And that's just not even a joke. It's going to be super hard to beat Pogacar because he's probably been told to target this. And with the new team of having Micah here as well, with Formolo and Hershey, that's a proper train who can probably take on at least 2/3 of the Jebel Hafid or that other climb on a couple of stages later and just take control, and then Pogacar just attacks. That's how I'm seeing it. But yeah, I mean that's everybody. I think it's going to be hard to beat UAE, but in terms of people who could probably contest, I'd say Adam Yates has a good shot. I'd say Zhao as well, and I kind of want to throw another name in there, but one isn't we forgot to mention Nibali, but whatever. I don't know. I don't really have anything.
What?
Yeah, Nibali's coming in apparently.
Man,
what do you think?
you're tripping.
Zhao, Pogacar, Yates. Anybody else do you reckon could?
Sepkus.
Good. Nice.
That's our 4.
That's it. It's stage 4 Al Marjan Island to...
Is that another sprint one?
It's another sprint day.
Oh.
Surprise.
So we're talking Ackerman, Ewan, Phillipson, Bennett.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the 4.
I mean, I just kind of want to have a look at the stage and just see if is it like a circuit? Is it It's not a circuit actually. But the ending is quite winding actually. I'll turn it around for you. So it kind of the last bit just goes wiggles all over the place. Don't know what the hell's going on there. That's a bit strange.
Death by wiggling.
It's somebody's just gone just wiggled their pencil from side to side. This isn't going to be a very long preview for the whole YouTube channel, is it? It's pretty much just this isn't a particularly interesting stage.
I don't know. I just think you could just group together all the sprint ones.
You reckon?
That first one's just the sprint one.
Yeah.
Oh, they're all going to be the same.
Yeah, they are all going to be the same.
The technicality of how it finishes is not going to disrupt the fact that those 4 should win.
Yeah, pretty much. And yeah, that's pretty much all.
Just like the same person who wins the hilltop of the whatever that
Jebel Hafid.
Yeah, it's probably going to win
This one.
This one we're going to talk about.
This stage 5 we'll talk about now. Oh my god, have you seen the start of this thing?
What?
It's called the Fujairah Marine Club. Jesus.
Crikey.
This goes up the Jebel Jais, something like that.
Don't know, mate.
So this is 1,500 meters tall. It is 21 kilometers at 5%, which is at a point where drafting will more than likely still have an effect, because 5% for World Tour riders is,
Fast.
It's quite fast. They're probably doing at least 20 k's an hour.
It looks pretty consistent as well. I mean, there's a bit of a pitch in it which looks like 35%
at the start,
and then it's flat, and then it goes up again.
Yeah.
Probably just an error.
Yeah.
It says there's the first hairpin.
Oh, nice.
And then
hairpin.
Yeah. So it basically climbs from. Well, what do you reckon?
It climbs from a long way out, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100. It's got to be like 20 k's worth of climbing. Yeah, it is 21k. Oh, that's awful.
I'm trying to find the stage.
I'll tell you who would have no bother with this altitude.
Who?
Richard Carapaz.
Carapaz bloody living up at whatever he is.
I got told today that apparently Carapaz was riding up that hill.
Yeah.
And then he got off and then he started walking up the hill. And then he took a sledge with him and then sledged down the hill.
What the hell did he do with his bike?
He left it. He just goes, I leave bike there.
What, did he go back for it the next day or something? Just
pick
up where he left off?
He walked up further and then sledged down to his bike and then rode down.
That's just fucking stupid.
Well, that's what I thought.
I'm looking at this. Wait, where's I'm just seeing like there's an intermediate sprint. Whereabouts on the profile is that?
It's there's 2.
It's just at the base, isn't it?
32k and 125k.
Right, do you reckon you're gonna see somebody going for those bonus seconds before the climb, or is that just not worth it? You're going into like the red sprinting and then hitting a climb.
I don't know. Would that not be more beneficial for the guy who wants to win the sprinter's jersey?
Yeah, more than likely.
Because there's more sprinter stages than these stages.
Yeah.
I imagine that'll be done by sprinters.
Yeah. So,
especially on a day like that,
where
they can literally do that, blow up, and then just cruise on.
Exactly. I think that because of a shallow gradient, this is more than likely going to come down to, and especially with the fact that drafting will still have a benefit, it's more than likely going to be a group of 3 to 5 maybe that come to the finish, I'd say. And out of all of them, who's got the fastest kick?
Pogacar.
It's probably Pogacar. Unless they say, hey, Hershey, you try hold on for as long as you can and then try get the stage win. But more than likely, it's Pogacar's got the fastest kick. I'd say he's faster than Yates. He's faster than Haig.
Just because it's not that steep, I could see Lutsenko hanging in there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because Mont Ventoux,
right, steep.
It's just like 10%.
Yeah. I think Zhao was fairly fast in some of those Giro finishes.
This climb will suit Zhao, actually.
I think so.
Whoa. And I'd like to see Zhao versus Pogacar.
I think this is going to be a great fight. Between them.
Hey, the UAE Tour, if you want to tune in for one day and one day only, it's this day.
Sepp Kuss, again, is the altitude there from. It's not over 2,000 meters. Doesn't suit him.
It's not, and it's not very steep.
I just see Sepp Kuss maybe not winning, but maybe finishing around 5th place.
Yeah.
Something like that. Meh. Something, meh.
And especially
like
if it's quite windy,
yeah.
then
If it's a headwind.
you can't really go solo.
Buggered. Exactly.
Right, nice.
I'd say that's about it. And then stages, stages 6 and 7 are both sprint days again. To be honest with you, it's just a bit disappointing, really, isn't it? but it's just so you could have clicked on 2 of these stages and you would have thought, oh, did I click onto stage 7 or am I still on stage 6?
They're showing you all the nice stuff. Like, doesn't stage 6 take you to the Palm thing in Dubai? It's more like a sightseeing visit.
Yeah,
it's like, come to the UAE because it's nice.
Yeah, it's literally just like
ignore the sand, ignore it. That's what it's like.
That's why we're just building over all of it.
Yeah. Hey, this stage is flat, man.
Which
starts in Dubai, sticks.
Yeah.
Finishes at the Palm.
Oh, it's going to finish on the Palm. Do you know? That'll be kind of cool in terms of aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Like actually watching it from if you just did a helicopter view. Yeah, like you say, it's not going to be entirely exciting in terms of cycling action, but I don't know if you're just into your sightseeing and visit Dubai, Abu Dhabi, the place of the free.
Yep. Let's ride a camel.
This is good. Yeah, this is your race to
Hey,
watch.
I quite liked Dubai when I went.
Yeah. Massive flex. Dropping that in there. Bloody hell. Yeah, rather disappointingly. I mean, we wanted to kind of do a stage by stage breakdown, but honestly, as we've got through this podcast, we've realised that every sprint stage is the same. It's not like a Tirreno or a Paris-Nice or something which has varying terrain over a week. Unfortunately, the UAE Tour, has essentially split up into 2 days which are a hilltop finish, 1 time trial, and then 4 sprint days. And quite frankly, each one of those days is going to be won by the same person. It's just a bit for us trying to predict and create a separate stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 prediction. So we'll, in terms of YouTube, we'll bundle this all into try to get all the sprint stages together into one, and then we'll probably put the 2 hilltop stages together into one, and then the TT will be its own separate entity. So it'll be 3 separate videos.
Yeah.
Saves me a load of, saves us work, doesn't it?
Well,
that's good.
Saves Patrick work.
Saves me work. Cameron provides the nice kind of person to bounce conversation off.
Yeah.
Otherwise it'll just be me going mental, talking into a microphone.
Oh yes.
I mean, let's face it. I reckon we can put, because we didn't really do this on our prediction, we can kind of say who we think is going to win GC. I don't feel like that's something which we did for Provence or Bessage in terms of a poll. So why don't you? I'll go first. I think. You see, I think that Pogacar's going to win, but I don't want to say that because it seems kind
Just say it. Mine's different, so it's
is
okay.
it? Oh, I'll go. All right, Pogacar. I reckon Pogacar's going to win. He's been told to get full-on peak Tour de France fitness for this race.
I know he doesn't crack under pressure, Pogacar.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of pressure for him to do well, and he only has 2 days in which to do it.
And all he has to do is ride into a little bit of sand, and then he's crash.
Yes.
Easy.
So what I'm thinking is someone who could potentially do better than him in a TT, flat TT, is Zhao.
Yep.
And then the 5% climb probably suits Zhao more than it suits Pogacar.
Yep.
So I'm going to go Zhao.
I'm glad you went Zhao, because if it was the other way around, I was honestly thinking if you picked Pogacar, I was going to go Zhao.
Oh, that's good then.
So either way, we've got those 2.
I just don't think Adam Yates against this new breed of cyclists who can climb and sprint
and time trial,
he stands a chance. especially since last year. I don't think there was a time trial.
Never wasn't.
Yeah, so even though he won last time, it means nothing.
Yeah.
It's superfluous, really.
He could definitely finish third, in my eyes.
Yeah.
And then in the rest of the top 10, Kuss, Mulberger, Yates, probably somebody else from UAE, maybe two people from UAE. You could get like Formolo and Micah in there.
And Hershey if he really wants to.
And Hershey, just get four of them. Wout Pools and Haig, Buckman, maybe somebody from EF.
Mark Donovan scraping in.
Yeah, and then that'll be about your top 10-ish. In whatever order. And then this is event a tier Valter.
Oh yeah. He'll finish 13th.
Man, the myth, the legend.
You watch people. He will be up there. He's a god.
Yeah. Anyway, bloody hell.
It's the goat of Hungary.
We've just hit 40 minutes. Shit, mate.
Well, bloody hell.
I guess we'll just wrap it up here and now. Thanks for listening to the UAE preview. And, yeah, give it a watch. I hope maybe it's on Eurosport. Probably just tune in for the highlights. And, yeah, all that's left to say is to keep your masks on, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time. And salut!